Habari gani?
Mzuri kabisa, asante.
I am a peacekeeper. I cannot behave like a militant who goes inside and forces his way through. I am here to talk to them, win their hearts and minds.
The Democratic Republic of the Congo is the third largest country by area on the African continent. It has a population of 66 million and is approximately the size of Western Europe, with only 2,000 miles of paved roads. Congo is the heart of Africa, bordering 9 countries, including Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. The legacy of Congo's violent and exploitative colonial history continues to shape the country. United Nations peacekeepers have been in Congo before. The Security Council authorized MONUC in 1960 following post-independence violence and the secession of the mineral-rich province of Katanga. The United Nations force was mandated to support the Congolese government to restore order, and over 19,000 troops were sent to quash the rebellion. Though the mission succeeded in protecting the territorial integrity of Congo, it proved politically disastrous. Peacekeeping suffered a major loss of confidence, with financial and political consequences that still plague the UN. The current peacekeeping force MONUC faces many more challenges. Established as a military observer mission in 1999 to implement the Lusaka ceasefire agreements, MONUC has mushroomed in size and mandate in response to complex dynamics on the ground. In 2009, Congo harbours more than one conflict within its borders. The actors are multi-dimensional and the terrain is enormous and remote. In 2007, the International Rescue Committee estimated that 5.4 million people had died from conflict-related causes since 1998. According to the United Nations, Congo is the rape capital of the world. Disturbing statistics estimate that as many as 4,500 civilians, the overwhelming majority women, are raped every month. In 2009, there are over 1 million internally displaced people in North Kivu province alone. Various armed groups in various provinces continue to profit from the exploitation of natural resources smuggled across the eastern borders and sold on to international buyers. The Congolese armed forces are some of the worst perpetrators of these crimes. Corruption is rife, borders remain unsecured. So what exactly has the Security Council authorized in response to these challenges? Resolution 1856 of 2008 affirms MONUC's focus on civilian protection, collaboration with the armed forces, monitoring of the natural resources trade, and support of rule of law initiatives to curb the extreme sexual and gender-based violence. MONUC has not been without successes. In 2006, it assisted in planning and support for Congo's first democratic elections in over 40 years. MONUC has also overseen the demobilization of several thousand combatants. Its presence represents the international community's commitment to peace in Congo. Given that MONUC's mandate has civilian protection as its highest priority, these are limited successes. But how exactly does a mandate for such an ambiguous objective work in practice?
Our mandate is to support the government. So number one, government is not completely happy with us because they think that the support is not total. Right. They're expecting us to do more. Number two, those that we need to protect, this means the civilian, they think that because every one of them, of the IDPs, are facing a tough situation, so they think that MONUC is not doing completely the job. Number two. Number three, the different, let's say, armed groups, foreign armed groups, and internal armed groups as well, MONUC is for them an obstacle to complete the job. So nobody is happy.
But perhaps civilians have a point, to the extent that MONUC, to fulfill its mandate to protect, collaborates with an armed force that commits grave rights violations and in which several high-ranking officers are known criminals.
One might think that this is an impossible mandate because the protection of civilians relies on, in part, the participation of national authorities, in particular the national armed forces. However, I think that there needs to be also the recognition that the security sector reform aspect of the UN's engagement in Congo is hoping to train national forces on international humanitarian law and human rights law, and also create ongoing capacities so that you have an armed force that no longer participates in the atrocities carried out on civilians.
But is security sector reform enough? Human rights violations, including systematic rape and forced labour and displacement, are often committed as a strategy of abuse. Thus, these attacks are often motivated by pillage or profit from access to natural resources. MONUC is mandated to address and monitor the illegal exploitation of natural resources, but so far has not had the technical equipment to fulfill this task. In the context of a mandate for civilian protection, this issue must be addressed. Removing or limiting the ability of criminals to profit from the natural resources trade will reduce their incentive to commit violence against civilians. As representatives of the international community in Congo, MONUC should take the lead in condemning these illegal transnational networks. Furthermore, to date, security sector reform in Congo seems to have been limited to the armed forces. In order to give credibility to the human rights law and humanitarian law training given to the army, there must be a mechanism to hold perpetrators accountable. MONUC must therefore start shifting more resources into reforming the national police force. Educating police officers about the law and investigation practices is the first step in giving hands and feet to the process of judicial enforcement. If MONUC is truly committed to civilian protection, it must seek to address factors such as natural resource exploitation and impunity through concrete measures. The force only has limited resources with which to push for peace.
Mother sitting on the side with a small child in her lap and singing song, and then I asked my interpreter what she's saying. My interpreter told me that she's singing a song to her child, that now peace has come, MONUC has come, peace has come. Now you can live your life properly. I have not lived mine.
To all my people struggling for peace, you know what I'm saying? We gotta keep it up. The struggle continues. Yeah.
Mon regard, plein de tristesse et stress et la peur. Mes rêves, c'est s'appuyer sur la gâchette et faire sauter sa tête. Car la haine se fait voir dans son regard. Il a pris mon identité, il a tué mon entité. Je ne sais où me situer. Ma vie est un cauchemar, c'est pas à dire si je viens de Goma. Que mon cœur est fait de pierre.